What's good, everybody? Welcome out once again, right here to the Remix Morning Show on Black Power Media. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Let me introduce you to your host. We have no other than Dr. Jared. Burn it down, Kim Brett. And come out, Kate.
I like that, Ear
That
Doctor.
was good, V-Verb. That was good, V-Verb today. Yeah.
No, I'm shouting out the cuts. I like the cuts. Shout out to the cuts.
We gotta keep it fresh.
Come through. We got a real DJ. Come through, DJ. Sing that song all night.
Because I'm a sucker for that. You know, I am one of those that would still have as like a bucket list fantasy DJ Premier cutting my voice on a track. Like if I had like one of those, you know, give him something before he goes over to the afterlife, that's on the list right there. I want, you know, so I appreciate you, Ear Doctor.
Remix Morning Show mixtape coming.
That's hot.
Snap. We should have a mixtape. That would be great.
We should have a mixtape. Fuck your NFT. We got mixtapes.
So Jared coming with nothing but diss tracks. Jared is calling out academia across the board. Cryptocurrency.
I told you, shout out to K Slay. I used to joke I want to be Dr. Jared Ball, aka slap your favorite professor.
Hey.
You know.
Indeed.
And for those who don't know, K Slay used to say DJ K Slay's aka slap your favorite DJ. It's just a joke. It's all love. Okay, all right.
Big up Faith.
Welcome, Faith.
Hey, KD, what's going on?
I like that shirt you got there, Kamal. It's that new community movement builders look like.
It's got that new merch, you know what I'm saying? Or drip, right? Drip. You can't do merch.
Drip. Oh, wow.
Drip, right?
It's the drip.
You got the drip.
I guess. I mean, y'all don't have to pick up the slang of the youth to still appeal to the youths. If you say merch,
to the youth. I can say merch.
The kids know what the merch is.
Like we have new merchandise out.
You know what I'm saying?
It's so wild to me when I hear like 50-year-old people talk about no cap. Nigga, just say the thing. Stop trying to sound like your teenage son. Just say it. No cap.
It's
nigga.
too much fun. You gotta go no cap.
I just like to bring it out to see my children cringe.
Exactly. My 9-year-old, they're like somebody is sus. I was like, where are they sus, yo?
I said that yesterday. I said that last night. I said that's sus. They were like, you're over 18. Stop it.
Please.
Like, y'all don't know about no slang.
Right. Yeah, we invented slang. We want to hear that. Before white people got hip to the slang.
Summer camp yesterday started it. I must say, man, I'm probably gonna retire and be teaching, because I mean these kids are beautiful. It's this kid came and made this the first day and said thank you with the little love joints. That's what I'm talking about.
Kind of lighting worked out for him too. The lighting worked out for you when you did that, like the shadow effect on the. You did that. That was dope.
Yeah, but, it's dope. And when we're talking about financial literacy, I know y'all cringe when y'all hear this word.
That makes me cringe.
But I wish that right now, son. You sound sus.
I wish I learned how to financial literacy. Can it be using your credit card to pay like your bills you regularly use, and then paying on that credit card to build your credit up so you can get a house or a car? That's financial literacy,
I guess. But if a house is costing $500,000 and you only earn $35,000 a year, good luck getting that house any goddamn way. No matter how well you manage your credit.
But that's it. We never got people how to build up our credit. We can get a house, a car, and stuff like that. So that's like a way to do it.
It's one thing to obviously let folks know, like at young ages or whatever ages, if you save this much, you do this or that or that. But to present it as some tool for liberating you is when it gets sus. When they present it as this larger model of community control over something because individuals got better credit scores, then it's sus.
If you want your analysis to bust, you have to understand That's the other one makes my children. They probably just sleep cringing right now. Busing is for food only. It does not apply to other areas.
Shit.
Anyway,
bust it wide open. What you mean it don't apply to? So, anyway, I'm sorry.
It doesn't mean the same thing anymore, Kim. That's all I'm saying. The
Says
words have
them.
changed.
Says them. Kids don't run me.
That's the point. Says them. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. But anyway, but the only real way to become literate in finance is to study political economy and to teach them that if you want to rotate your bill payments on a credit card, that's fine to exist in capitalism. But to become literate in finance, you have to understand that this is all
scam,
madness and hustle and extraction and exploitative. That's what we need to be teaching folks. But I hear you, and it's always good to,
I'm teaching
teach
podcasting.
the youth.
Podcasting and film.
Yeah. Good job.
I'll catch y'all later.
See you, ear doctor.
Man, speaking of that, though, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole on Earn Your Leisure. That whole crew. Are you all familiar with them? They're one of the biggest. I think if the reports are correct, they're one of the biggest economic podcasting, YouTube, TikToker, Black financial literacists. And it's a whole bunch of horrible advice and madness, but they're extremely popular. And one of their dudes is the dude Ian Dunlap, who's the master investor. And I was just watching some of the claims and some of the ways that they charge $40,000 for classes to teach you how to invest your money.
Yeah,
40 G's.
40 G's if you want in, son.
Slim, if I got 40,000, the fuck I need y'all for? You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? Like, I need y'all
All you
for.
teaching me at that point is how to lose the 40,000. I'm like,
Pretty much.
Everything I've seen that is public and free is just the same. It's like basically saying if you have a whole bunch of Apple stock, like I claim to, you're doing well. It's like, duh. I mean, okay. All right. Is
that the advice? Buy a very valuable stock.
I mean, it's
great advice.
It's basically that. And then they go overboard and actually
give me 40,000.
Low, sell high, 40K.
And on the worst end, they promote scams. I mean, they're literally telling you to lie to get car loans and use the car loan for something else and do this and that. I mean, they got all kinds of stuff going on over there. It's just crazy.
Do they advise you LLC your way to freedom? Do you LLC your way to freedom?
Yeah.
Is that
everybody drops that quick line, Kim, of this is not financial advice. Get with do your own research and invest wisely. And then in the bottom, like if you go to Ian Dunlap's thing, and I'll stop on this, but this was part of the rabbit hole I went, like part of his whole front page, it's like his name and email address and then a whole page of small print, fine print warnings. It's like that's his home page. It's like, hi, this is not real financial advice. Be careful. Don't, this is that. I'm not liable. If you lose all your money, this is going to happen. And then it says, only invest risk capital, meaning money you can afford to lose. And I'm like, well, nobody has that.
Nobody has that.
That's the whole point. So stop talking anyway. So that's why you're right, Emma. Happy birthday, Kwame Ture. We need a revolution.
Hey, happy birthday, Kwame Ture. And I think Kwame Ture would advise us start scamming white folks. Stop scamming your people, man. Scam the people that have the money, and that is the whites. The whites have the money. Scam the fuck out of them. Stop trying to scam your own people who don't have anything and have very little. And the little that they do have, we need to survive. Scam white people, for fuck's sake. Stop scamming us. Stop scamming us.
And the best scam is to organize a revolution. I do like his
Jared, that's a fucking plan. That is a destiny. That is a destination. That is something that has to be done. The scam that these motherfuckers is running on our own people, I hate that, yo. Like it really bugs me to no end, because it's like y'all are just predatory, just like these crackers, and unacceptable.
Absolutely.
David Silberg, though, in the chat is just asking, of all the white people, Don't scam me.
Don't skip
That's
right.
fine,
On behalf
David.
of
I don't know what you're sitting on, David. I need to see your balance sheet, and that depends. Your susceptibility to be scammed depends on how much you were sitting on, my guy.
how much of an ally is you for real?
Hey, how much of an ally you for real, David? What's up, David? Come up off of some of them zeros, David.
If you got a lot of puns.
Look at your
come off
Patreon
of the-
account. What you giving these days?
Right.
What you got on?
Yeah, look it up, Cabal. Shave that dude. Look, that's funny. That'd be wild. Pull him on the front street. Come out that.
But shout out to Franny French. Franny French always runs the channel some money, and everybody else. Obviously, we know what it. You know,
No,
just,
shout out to
shout out to all. Thank you to all who support the channel.
But I do like that one of my favorite speeches Kwame Ture would used to talk at one point would say when he talked about running for local office and taking over the local political apparatus and then raising all the property taxes, because he said we don't own any property, and then we would just live off of the white folks for free. That was, it's like, if you want to, and I was like, that's the level of engagement with the political apparatus that I it's that level of analysis. All jokes aside, I know some of that was facetious and all that, but just it's with that attitude,
That
anyway.
Energy. Yeah.
That energy, exactly.
Need
yes,
that.
Sir.
Need that.
Speaking of good energy, he looks like he's back on stage, ready to deliver some. Got the lights, got the Kango,
Shit.
dancing is spiritual.
Yo, hey. I ain't gonna front, man. I swore I was LL back in the day when I had that white terry cloth Kango like that. MC Stan, they was killing it back in the day, boy. We used to get the laundry bags, the plastic laundry bags that went around the dry cleaning and stuff it inside the Kango to get that round part on.
Oh wow.
Some people used to put newspaper. That was another thing. You would put the newspaper under the hat to make it round at the top.
Keep that form. Yeah.
Man, don't get me started, man.
Wow.
I bet you rocked your Kango better than LL, because LL was rocking that Kango to cover up that dome. You, on the other hand, rocking that Kango, look fly, Ear Doctor. You look fly out here.
You got a 5 head though, a little bit.
That's okay, but I think it suits you.
I appreciate it, Kim.
LL's head don't suit nobody. That joint is ginormous. Jesus, you seen him on CSI Miami? His head like this. His head is so
some of that is human growth hormone at this point.
Yes,
like old LL got a normal size head. Now he got the
Barry Bonds joint.
The Barry Bonds, the Stallone, Rocky got one now, and the Rock got one now. So all of them dudes.
Terrible.
Well, we're gonna do a spotlight real quick. Let's get to it on this break.
Black Power Media.
Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out once again to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. And in case you didn't know, this is the channel you should be letting a friend and another friend know about. If you ain't, you're playing yourself. Come on, man. Anyway, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button if you haven't already. And also hit that notification bell. Ding, ding, like my man Apollo Creed said when he was about to beat down Rocky at the end of the movie. And also go to patreon.com and drop some change in the bucket because we love it. All right, now let's keep it moving. At this time, I wanted to talk about a certain sister that we might not talk about enough. We always see the leaders, the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, the Marcus Garveys, but we never talk about the First Lady. So what First Lady am I going to talk about today? No other than Betty Shabazz. That's right, Betty Shabazz, coming straight out of what some believe to be Detroit, but at the same time, Pinehurst, Georgia. So the papers never showed exactly where she came from, but she here. She was an educator and civil rights advocate, also married to no other than Malcolm X. She grew up, like I said, in Detroit, but she went and moved down to Tuskegee, Alabama, and went to school at Tuskegee. And this is like her first time she really encountered racism, because when she was talking about it up Detroit with her peoples, they was like, don't talk about it, and then it'll go away. But man, she moved to Alabama and she found out what racism was all about. And from Alabama, she moved to New York, where she became a nurse. and that's where she met Malcolm X and joined the Nation of Islam, and they got married in 1958. What happened also is she witnessed the assassination of Malcolm X, and it left her with the responsibility of raising 6 daughters as a widow. Why she put herself through school? She pursued higher education and went to Medgar Evers College in Brooklyn, New York. And here's another thing: when her daughter was looked at as conspiring to murder Louis Farrakhan, but Shabazz took after that happened. Shabazz took her 10-year-old grandson, and in 1997, the kid set fire to an apartment, and Shabazz suffered severe burns, died 3 weeks later as a result of her injuries. That's wild. But also about her, she also went to school for nursing. She did a number of things for the community. I have to say, when it comes to first ladies, she's one of the first ladies that, really actually did some things on the side. So learn some more about Betty Shabazz. This is just an introduction, and this is the Remix Morning Show, y'all. Let's keep it going. All right, let's get back to our host.
I actually got to meet Betty at a meeting in Medgar Evers College. She also taught at Medgar Evers for a little while. Mm-hmm. So that was it's too long ago to remember what the meeting was about, but I didn't know she was going to be there. It was a relatively small meeting, so it was one of those things where you had to keep it all in because you're like, shit, that's Betty Shabazz. You had to act professional. That's Betty Shabazz.
Let me ask y'all something. Out of all the first ladies, if we're gonna talk about Martin's wife, if we're gonna talk about Malcolm, if we're gonna talk about Obama's wife, out of all the first ladies, who would you say did the most?
Someone don't belong.
Things is not like the other.
Right.
Only teach podcasting. Only teach.
Michelle Obama taught us when they go low, we go high.
There you go.
And that was some shit I learned never to adhere to. No, when they go low, I go to hell. Let's go.
Hey, another thing, if you want to learn Michelle will teach you how to play the long game. I mean, that's go back to looking at those early days in particular. She was making usually $250,000 a year as a lawyer, dragging Barry at $30,000 a year behind her, and said, "I got plans. We got plans for I'm gonna get paid back in droves." I got this.
We say Betty
and read that Garrow book. Go. In fact, stop real quick. Go look at the interview we did a couple years ago. It's on the channel with Dr. Todd Stephen Burrows and not Peter Gamble. Anyway, about David Garrow's book on Obama. And if you haven't read it, read it. If you've read it, watch the interview and enjoy yourself even more, and then think about Michelle in that context, in putting up with all of Obama's nonsense, all the Barry days, all the choices, how she was selected to be, or that's my term, I'll use by him for these purposes and vice versa. Like this was a long game hustle that they've been running. But the first woman that I would want to add, or whatever the phrase you were using is Winnie Mandela. That's my
facts. Yeah, I think she did the most. She did the most out of all the sisters. I ain't trying to compare, but I am.
Well, she's just my favorite in terms of maintaining a certain politics publicly. And if you talk about in some ways dragging your man from behind, anyway.
Shout out to Merle Evers. I got to give it up to Merle because too much to endure, but she kept on, you know what I'm saying? And even, I just can't imagine enduring what all of these women really endured, to be perfectly honest with you. So I don't know. I don't like ranking, Ear Doctor.
We do it with hip hop music. Why not?
It ain't hip hop.
Okay, I'm hip hop. Anyway, big up to all the beautiful sisters out there. Keep moving. All right.
Thank you, Doctor.
All the beautiful sisters out there. Beautiful Winnie, gorgeous Winnie.
Oh shit.
Betty, I love that dress
Yeah.
she was wearing. Coretta, you keep that makeup going.
Dog.
Beautiful sisters.
I mean, but let's talk about some beauty. My God, like each and every single one of them, from Betty to Coretta. We know Coretta face card never got declined, but Betty, Jesus, you see that the cheekbones? Jeez, my God, that skin clear as glass. Woo, child. Them women, the baby boomers carried a different beauty standard. You know what I'm saying? And it was all just amazing.
You know what, Kim? I think you just provided the perfect segue.
Uh-oh.
Let's slap the mat. And then let's see how we can talk about what we can talk about. Let's do that here at the Remix Morning Show.
Let's get it.
Welcome everybody back to the Remix Morning Show, Black Power Media. So just before we got on air, I mentioned that I was interested in talking about a story about Lil Kim that just came out, and then Kim, you raised a very appropriate critique of that tendency. So I admitted that what drew my attention more than anything was the headline from Comedy Hype. I admitted one of my favorite channels. Miss Parker from Friday comments on Lil Kim, and all I saw was Miss Parker from Friday, and I was drawn.
Intrigued. Click. Jared said,
like,
"Play."
Oh, it was the clickbait, and then it was like, "Oh, this is about Lil Kim."
Miss Parker. Who played Miss Parker? What was the actress's name? I don't even know who that was.
Her name. That's a very good question, because I just had it here. Kathleen Bradley, right? Yes, Kathleen Bradley. If I have that, if I'm reading that correctly, I think is her name. And I don't know. So now I'm hesitant I'm a little hesitant to play the video. So I just raise what came up, and then get to the point. They played a clip of Lil Kim's recent performance at a Puffy, some sort of award for Puffy, got some lifetime achievement or something. I don't know, something
at
like
the BET Awards. Diddy got recognized. Yeah.
Okay, so Lil Kim comes out and performs, and the clip that they showed, I admit I was shocked. I had not seen her in a while. A lot of surgery, a lot of changes, and then I have a lot of I admit a lot of personal discomfort. It is not about it's not. I hope it's not me having a feeling about choices that women are making, or their freedom to make the choice. That is, but I was like, wow, this is not healthy. This is not. So the way okay, thank you, ear doctor. The way I thought then, after, in the quick few minutes after you raised a concern, which I'm gonna shut up here and you can, is that this is happening publicly. It is part of a public discussion in at least in the Black public sphere, political sphere, of what is happening with her. They did a whole segment on Comedy Hype, starting with Miss Parker's or Kathleen's critique, Kathleen Bradley's critique, saying that it's not healthy. This is not a good look for women. This is, that was her basic line. And then they had a roundtable discussion on Comedy Hype about it, that there is an impact on audiences, some of whom do come in my classrooms and have conversations about this. So that is somewhat of my interest along with this. And then the last part of it is, as someone raising two daughters, we have told them, trying to encourage a baseline of self-respect and love, that we have already birthed you as perfect individuals. You don't need to see yourself as ever needing some sort of major surgical adjustment based on what you see happening out in the world. So anyway, that's just, I'll stop there and offer up, let you respond or share your criticism or
Well,
whatever.
so I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. I know you set it up that this was
Oh, okay.
a recent performance of Kim at the BET Awards in
Mhm.
celebration of Diddy's Lifetime Achievement. All I heard y'all say was, Kim, she looked more augmented. And the point that I raised to Jared and Ear Doctor off the air was, I don't want this to be a segment of us just picking apart a Black woman's appearance. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kim has been very transparent about the abuse that she suffered, not only domestic violence abuse, but picking apart of her appearance from her former romantic partners and how that influenced the way that she saw herself and possibly influenced her decision to go get plastic surgery and this, that, and the third. So I just want, if we're gonna, maybe talk about the perils of surgical augmentation, as that can be a health issue, because there are lots of people who die literally doing these surgeries, people traveling to different parts of the world to get, Brazilian butt lifts and boobs and lips and everything. Like, people do die from this shit. Let's not even act like that doesn't happen, especially women and femmes within our community. But I just want us just to be careful how we do this. And again, I haven't seen the clip to which you're referencing, so I don't know what Kim is looking like, as of this BET Awards. But I don't want us to pick apart her nose, her complexion, what she do to her body. You know what I mean? Because we know why she did these things. This is an outgrowth of the abuse that she has endured, and the hits against her self-esteem and her confidence in the way that she looks. So I don't know. I just want us to be careful. That's it. I just want us to be.
That was
considerate.
That would have been my approach. It wouldn't have been just to, I'm not interested in demeaning or picking apart, as you say, but it is to raise questions. I admit a shock when I saw her.
Is it that shocking though? Like,
to me, it was. Yeah.
Okay, so
because she doesn't look. She doesn't. I know that there's been a progress here. Like, she's had several augmentations or surgeries since she first hit the scene. But the way she came out, the way she looked here was very, I don't know. To me, was shocking. Haven't been paying maybe enough attention lately, and that is sort of my point though, that ultimately after that shock, the concern I have is without an uncritical discussion of the not only the abuse that women and femmes are suffering, but then some of the choices in response, then it is just left. Comedy hype wasn't fully silly about it, but I wouldn't want to leave an analysis of anything to just comedy hype, or anywhere else for that matter, or to my own show or platform. So, I think, that was more of what I was interested in terms of what we would do here or how we would talk about it here, is to say, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I didn't have a fully formed thought on it. It was just shocking. And then I would want, I felt like, honestly, I was like, I'd like, if in an appropriate, safe way, she needs a hug. Like, it was like, I felt like, anyway, sorry, go ahead. Come on.
No, and not just her, right? We haven't said the word yet, but this is a manifestation of white supremacy also, in terms of,
sure,
it's not only like the abuse that folks suffer, but it's the way in which abuse, not only personal abuse, but society abuse or societal abuse, makes people think about what they have to do or look like in order to be either most accepted, to be glamorous, to be beautiful. Our biggest, example of that is Michael Jackson, right? In terms of this, not this Jennifer, but within the past whatever half century, who basically transformed his looks, claiming some other things, but like the total transformation to look like a white person, even if not admittingly. Obviously, there's a longer history of that, of like bleaching and all that kind of stuff that goes in our histories of people. So I think all of that stuff, this is just a modern manifestation because medical science is quote unquote so advanced in terms of doing some of these disturbing surgeries, which, obviously go past just looking right, but also all have to do with what in Western culture is considered sexually attractive. And that particularly hits on women, but there's now things for dudes too, right? Dudes get pecs and all that kind of stuff implanted. They do other things. So I think all of this stuff is just a way in which Western culture continually teaches us and our kids about what beauty is and what's the best way to look and all that kind of stuff. So I think that is also should be, and is an important conversation, because it's still, as you know, Lil Kim is one characterization of that, but going for people who don't get skin augmented, but who get to be the celebrities again, right? In the Black community, mostly light skin. If you're looking at women in particular, it's mostly light skinned women or mixed women who get to represent Black women, who get to reach the height of fame. There's only a couple of exceptions to that, but those kind of those standards of beauty are the things that get into people's heads around, oh, to be totally accepted or looked towards or looked at in a certain way that brings me either fame, fortune, or people saying how gorgeous I am, is to look at is to change what I was to be this. So I think that's total. So so again, yeah, I think it's totally part of a larger discussion. And you would, I'll end on, you would think by now, like it's always one of these things, is like you would think by now, right? Like we would have gotten over it or thought about it. We've had our different eras of like Black is beautiful and all that kind of stuff. But even during that, it goes back into this other thing, which is so overwhelming in terms of like societal pressure in some ways, that people feel like that's how they must comport or conform themselves in order to look attractive.
Well, to conform to Ear Doctor's clock, we need to move on to another story.
So we're not gonna see the thing. We're not gonna.
Oh, my bad. I was like, I don't know. I was like, is this inducing trauma now? It's like, what, I got it. I'll pull it up here real quick. It's not
I mean, we set it up. So and again, I haven't seen it, so I'm interested in seeing it now. I had not thought about seeing it.
This is the little clip that Comedy Hype included in their segment that you should be seeing right there, which to me is I admit is shocking. I'm shocked. I was particularly, So that was it.
That was it?
In terms of what they showed of Lil Kim, yeah.
So what was
You're unmoved?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, my bad.
I've seen it before. I haven't seen this clip before, but I've seen her looking like that's how she's basically looked over the last couple of years. Although it looks like again, the body also looks different now too. But I mean, if you look at what she looked at before and what she looks like now, again, it is a total Michael Jackson type transformation, a total Sammy Sosa. I don't know what Sammy Sosa type transformation. It's like you look at these folks, and if you walk down the street and pass them by, if you didn't recognize them, you may not recognize them if you knew them back in the day when they first came out.
Okay, I mean, my bad. Like I said,
I don't know.
Let's go to our next story.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
left on it.
I don't know. Like, I don't feel as though other groups get that kind of scrutiny about what they do to their bodies with that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hear that about. I mean, I know everyone acknowledges that the Kardashians clearly are surgically altered, but it never comes across as a demerit. You know what I'm saying? At least from the wider critique, obviously, Black people are like, look at these women trying to augment their bodies to most resemble Black women very clearly. But in the wider mainstream discourse, they are clearly surgically augmented, and nobody has a lot to say about that. But when it comes to Lil Kim or Serena Williams or other high profile Black women, it's like, oh, she had this done, she had that done, she had this done, she had that done. And it's like, well, what is the point of cataloging that? Like, why?
Well, because for me but that doesn't apply for me. I don't agree at all, because I don't consume white pop culture at all or in the same way. I don't teach or address myself to white audiences, and the context for Black women doing what they do is very different than white women doing what they do. So I think that deserves its own different treatment. And again, as I started with, this came up as a story for me in the Black public sphere of conversation about a Black woman, where I think the context of Black women and Black experience in this colonial setting warrants its own different conversation. So I wouldn't expect to be focused on, or to be hearing about, or for us to be talking about white celebrities doing this as much.
But I think that when I say that, I think we should, I mean it in this context, meaning that white women, especially white celebrity women, do things to themselves to make themselves non-white, right? They tan their skin, they boost their lips, they get big butts, they get, you know, shapes that resemble non-white women, and that's them trying to blacken themselves up. But and on the inverse, you know, we pick apart Lil Kim. I'm not saying you, Jared, but just generally, you know, oh, look at, she bleached her skin, she did her nose, now she's trying to look like a white woman. We don't make those same critiques about white women. You know what I'm saying? That white women are trying to blacken themselves. I'm not saying we, the wider, broader mainstream does not. Obviously,
I think there's also there is also a conversation about how obviously the same, let's say, physical attributes that Black women have on Black women are not considered to be the height of beauty. But the moment a non-Black woman has that quality, or adopts it, or surgically brings it on, or gets a hairstyle, or whatever it is, they are then the most popular person in the land for a while, and make, again, literally hundreds of millions of dollars. I think there is a critique of that. Usually, though, I mean, the Kardashians, maybe it's special case of weirdness, but a lot of the critique, I think, is around the fact that these folks are white, are taking things that they've seen from Black culture, which again goes to the larger issue of Black culture continually being taken for purposes of making white folks rich and cool and considered stylish and the rest of it. So I think there are critiques of it. I mean, I think obviously sometimes things do fall into the sexism category of folks are just looking and poking and prodding and pointing and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's definitely larger, wider critiques, and something in this particular conversational realm. I think the way beauty standards are enforced, then they do focus more on women, because from the patriarchal male gaze, it's what do women need to do to beautify themselves for dudes, right? We, as a 55-year-old dude, I can go gray. No one says to me, well, every now and then someone may say to me, but for the most part, it's not a lot of like, what I need to do, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, but like women, again, even women who are extremely brilliant, right? Like this, it's the wave of both misogyny and racism that falls on people to be like you could be the most brilliant, known for your brilliance, but still somehow the folk at some point you'll be like, oh my God, I need to do this, to that, to that, to that, to that, to that kind of thing like that. So I think a lot of that is discussed, but whether or not it's discussed within the larger political economy, within how capitalism works, within how standards of beauty work. I think for me, that's the biggest thing. It's like, when we have these discussions, do we make sure again, I agree with you, the larger we, is it for purposes of diagnosing what's happening in society, or is it for purposes of just saying like someone looks fucked up, or you know what I mean? And so they can get some jokes out of it and they can move on and hit the next person.
So just scanning some of the chat, I think all I would want to say right now is I think some of the criticism is disingenuous, given our openness as a platform, and the fact that we opened up by saying that this was an impromptu topic that no one had planned to discuss. If folks want to make it better, either you've been all more invited to contribute, so offer up a way to make it better. So
challenge, chat.
Well, it's not so much a challenge. I mean, not in that.
Get your
I'm just saying.
Up on here. Come on, cut them cameras on. Let's go. You get something to say? Come on up here and say it.
Sometimes it feels like y'all you think you're watching MSNBC or something, or CNN, like you don't have a relationship to the folks and to the channel, or haven't been invited or participated. Like, I mean, help us out. Like it ain't, I mean, damn. Anyway,
read them down, Jared. Read them down.
You know, I mean, anyway.
Dog. I'm not even looking at the chat, but it's cool because it's like, hey, y'all, everybody, the welcome mat has been extended to all. And how many people took us up? 0. So keep typing like typers. Keep typing like a typer.
No, and it's all sides. It's all everybody's. You know. Anyway, let me leave it alone. Oh, then they hear Doctor gonna bring it up. I'm jumping. I'm leaving the chat. He bringing the chat to the screen.
I'll come right on up. We can shoot you that link right now. We can shoot you that link right now. Come on. There's plenty of room on screen.
Do either of you have I got several pulled up, but do either of you have any stories that you wanted to get to this morning?
I do, but I don't have them ready. I gotta grab them. My bad.
Well,
let's do Erica. Shout out to Sister Erica, by the way. Erica's on vacation, so that might be apparent.
Right. Thank you for that, Kim. Thank you for letting them. By the way, May and Erica are on vacation. Jesus. So everybody chill.
How are we even here?
Right now we even alive? So well, here's just some little bit of relatively easy stories and news. Ghislaine Maxwell got 20 years in prison. I admit, I said I was shocked about Lil Kim. I'm way more shocked at this, to be honest. I didn't think this would happen, but I wasn't paying much attention. No, from no paying attention. I just didn't think she would get that, but. You know, I'm good being wrong with that anyway. So that's it. I don't have any follow up to that.
I think I heard that they had her on suicide watch. And it's gonna be, let's make sure them cameras are rolling outside of that cell at all times. At all times. I mean, I know there was
keep everything plugged in and batteries charged. what were they saying about the Epstein cameras? All that shit.
Everybody was wondering, was she going to name names? Was she going to name names? Was she going to disclose her client list of men, powerful men, rich men, politically connected men who were raping children, who were having sex with underage teens? And can you imagine? I mean, come on, guys. What do we have? 2 U.S. presidents connected to Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein's child sex trafficking ring, Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Not word one about that on mainstream American news. Like, how is this not a huge story? A person connected to 2 living U.S. presidents and God knows how many others. At least a prince of the British monarchy as well, and not word one about whether or not they were indeed her clients and indeed abusing teenage girls for sex. Amazing how the American media just sails right over that. That's not a story. That's not an interesting aspect of this at all. I see.
$750,000 fine or whatever, and 20 years in prison, and it's being they're calling it a harsh sentence. I guess without a sentence of death, they can't make it any more harsh. But it just still feels, I don't know, just feels insufficient, and still kind of like she got off easy. But I guess again, without a death sentence, it can't be any more. I don't know what else they could do.
And she walked in, I don't know a lot about the background story, but so she walked into this as his assistant, and then as it like basically gradually took over, started doing things for him in terms of a personal nature, or
she was his bottom bitch, I thought.
Yeah, it's a little more. There's a lot of wild stuff going back to her father, his media empire and connections with I think all kinds of state apparatuses, his shady or confusing death in some circles has been like interesting, whatever, and when how they met. I don't remember all the details, but how they met and when they started whatever relationship. But it's real overlapping and kind of gross, and
it is gross.
I just want to make sure, so she's not just some underling who got caught up or who got scared, or
no, she was she was
going to the mall and recruiting teenage. I mean, I'm just
participating
in
Yeah, she was fully involved, and there was a whole thing about she was trying to use Jeffrey Epstein as a replacement for her father, and there was all that kind of disturbing dynamic to it, and I mean it was just a whole mess upon mess. And how he got his money. I mean, there's all kinds of, I mean, it's just a shady pile of mess, which is kind of why I just kept thinking she's not going to give up the names. So they're going to have to just, I don't know, and maybe the deal was if you don't give up the names, you get to live. I don't know.
Totally.
Anyway.
That had to have been the deal. But if I were her, I mean, I'd be penning a memoir in my cell. You know what I mean? I'd be penning that memoir with all the names and make sure that my lawyer and another person had access to it. Because, I mean, that's a hell of a trump card to be sitting on, man. You know what I mean? Like my commissary better be overflowing, nigga. I better be able to get caviar in jail for all the secrets of all the powerful people that she's.
Or like what you said earlier, she ain't got a lot of time. Period. Because if Epstein could get got to, and it's obvious, again, what little I know, it's obvious that he seemed to have got to. I don't believe the suicide story or the way in which it happened. So,
but the camera just
stopped working.
It just stopped.
The most notorious person in jail at the time. It's like, his camera stopped working.
After everybody squeezes out the complex, there's no money left in the federal prison system for actually working facilities. So anyway, Kim, I got your link if you want to jump to that real quick before we break. I'll pull this up for you.
Not encouraging news coming out of Michigan. I was very disappointed to see this. So the headline reads, Michigan Supreme Court orders charges dismissed against ex-governor and 8 others over the Flint water crisis. And everybody knows what happened in Flint. Obviously, this is from the AP. Charges against former Governor Rick Snyder. Oh my God, just a ginormous piece of shit Rick Snyder is. And others in the Flint water scandal must be dismissed after the Michigan Supreme Court ruled on Tuesday that a judge had no power to issue indictments under a century-long, rarely used law. It is an astonishing defeat for Attorney General Dana Nessel, who took office in 2019, got rid of a special prosecutor, and put together a new team to investigate whether crimes were committed when lead contaminated Flint water system in 2014 and 2015. Now, what happened was state laws, quote, authorized the judge to investigate, subpoena witnesses, and issue arrest warrants as one-person grand jury, the Supreme Court said, but they do not authorize the judge to issue indictments. And the part of this was Rick Snyder was actually charged with manslaughter in connection with some of the deaths via Legionnaire's disease during the Flint water crisis, which, by the way, is still ongoing. And he challenged this indictment of manslaughter issued by this judge in court, and it went all the way up to the Michigan Supreme Court, and the court ruled in a 6-0 opinion. The challenge was filed by lawyers for former health director Nick Lynn, but the decision also applies to Snyder and others who were indicted by Genesee County Judge David, I can't pronounce it, Newblatt. This wasn't a close case. It was 6-0, said Lion attorney Chamberlain. Yes, it was based on a plain reading of the statute. Chip Chamberlain, thank you. Plain reading of the statute. So what this means basically is, as for right now, Rick Snyder, who was aware of the Flint water crisis, and there were some other people as well. The city manager for Flint, I believe, was convicted in connection to the Flint water crisis. But this was big because Snyder knew. It's been documented that Snyder had knowledge about what was happening in Flint before issuing warnings to the public. And he was charged with 2 misdemeanors, a willful neglect of duty, and other people were also charged. So the manslaughter, the biggest charges, have been dismissed. Now, whether or not they're going to continue to press forward on some of these smaller charges, I'm not exactly sure. But it's a little bit of disappointing news coming out of Flint, because they did receive a quote, big settlement. But when you divvy it out over the amount of people that were impacted, especially children who had lead exposure to their still developing brains, and they're still seeing the effects of that on children in Flint. It wasn't a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't seem as though there's much accountability going to be coming forward out of Flint, Michigan, when it comes to the Flint water crisis and the poisoning of an entire town. And the sad part is, guys, is that there's a lot of Flints. You know, we just know about Flint. There's a lot of places in the U.S. where the drinking water is not clean, where it is contaminated, where people contract, you know, waterborne diseases. And this is a national crisis of our infrastructure generally. I mean, America is the shithole country. I think Flint in the water crisis was a perfect example of that. But Flint is not alone, is not alone in its disrepair and its inattention to the water quality coming through their town. There's a lot of Flints in America.
I just want to remind everybody why everything Kim just said is not really an issue, because it's already been proven to be safe and there was no problem, as demonstrated by our former
drinking
president.
it again, because he took just a baby sip.
So I just want to remind everybody again, disregard Kim's anti-patriotic, anti-country rhetoric. We at BPM support America and the water is safe.
Did he even drink that?
Hell no, he didn't drink that. He knows better.
Lips.
He just looks so smackable. Jesus Christ. You ever wanted to smack the chase out somebody's mouth when they say and they play in your face like that? Playing in people's faces. I fuck with Flint for booing Obama ass for that shit. Flint was not with that. They were like,
that was
sir.
horrible.
Nope. Nope.
That's my go-to clip.
Happening, like you said, this happens all across the country where the infrastructure is old, or even is when they decide to replace one set of infrastructure with another. Like in Flint, I guess part of it was they switched over where they got the water supply, knowing about the possible hazards of it, but did it anyway because they just didn't give a damn about the poor people who would be impacted. Or, you know, they didn't expect the pushback or nobody to find out and all the rest of it. And it's that kind of craziness that happens. And again, these folks are not going to be held accountable, right? Because that's under the capitalist system. A sitting governor, unless it's something that disturbs power, right? Other than that, for the most part, they're not going to be held accountable. It's one of those famous things of like, if you kill one person, you go to jail for like 100 years. You kill 50 people, or 100 people, 1,000 people, and you're a person of power, it's just all about policy, right?
That's what kills me about this Flint thing, and it makes me think by extension to the abortion bans that we're seeing. So in Flint, like you said, Kamal, they switched the source of their water, I think, from the Detroit River to the Flint River. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, chat. And the water was untreated. So once they realized that people were dying and getting sick, they made the switch back. But the problem was that all that untreated water was coursing through people's pipes in their houses, and it corroded all of their pipes. So even if they corrected, quote unquote, corrected the mistake, the cascading consequences from that fucked up everything else. It fucked up way more things, right? And same thing with this abortion ban. I mean, these people think that they're doing one thing, but really you're just going to be ending up killing women. Like you're going to have the maternal mortality rate for pregnant women in this country is going to explode. It's going to explode because women are not going to be able to go get abortions that they medically need to live because they're going to be denied because of this bullshit abortion ban. So it's just a general inconsideration and a lack of foresight. I guess I'm being generous by calling it a lack of foresight, because it's like, how can you not see some of these things coming down the pike when you make these kinds of decisions? So.
Well, someone who according to the story you shared, by December, it took till December of last year for them to replace all the lines apparently that were affected. So a lot of people were being made sick and unhealthy for a long time.
Long time.
Obama faked the drink. So someone not faking the drink or faking the drink differently, he found some good water somewhere, is the ear doctor.
I had to get away from, it's too much craziness going on. So you see where I'm at, chilling out here in the islands. Speaking of pronunciations,
Ooh.
you know, Kim got a couple of
boy.
those words messed up. But I wanted to talk about. I got Ricky Ryan, right? Ricky Ryan's out there. Let me know, is it Caribbean or Caribbean? I'm gonna leave it on that and come back, and we're gonna talk about this next artist I went to go see in the islands. Let's get it.
Tomato.
Potato, potato.
Caribbean or Caribbean?
Yeah, Doctor. Remix Morning Show.
What's good, everybody? What's good, everybody? Welcome out once again to the Remix Morning Show. I had to go take a trip down to the islands and talk about a certain sister that a lot of people know about and a lot of people don't. But if you don't, that's what you come to the Remix Morning Show to get a little bit of information. So who am I going to talk about today? No other than the queen, the Dundada, Shelley Thunder. That's right. I don't know if you know about Shelley Thunder, but let me let you know. All right, Shelley Thunder, which some say she's from New York, some say she's from Jamaica, just like Betty. They don't really know, but we claiming her for Jamaica and New York because she represented. All right, well, pretty much she came out. She was the dancehall queen. She broke big with the song "Coof" on Mango Records in the late 80s. She got with production team, and they had instant hits in Jamaica in 1988. Thunder became the female equivalent to Shaba and Cuddy Ranks and Lady Patra and Sister Charlemagne, and continued to paint the chart with other smashes like "Sometimes a Man Forget Coof" and "Walk Out Me House" and "Back Na Come Back." That's right. They all came out on Mango Disc, out some popular albums. Thunder, she also came out with Fresh Out the Pack, Break Up in 1989. And after a while of doing all the slackness, as your boy Shaba would say, she came back and she started doing Christian music, which a lot of different people like Patra and some other artists did. They started doing Christian music. So she started performing reggae songs and changed those songs to like "Satan Forget Coof" and "Walk Out My House, Devil Don't Come Back" and certain songs like that. But a lot of people don't know that she was on one of the biggest albums in the 90s. That's right. She was on Lauryn Hill's Miseducation. She did the song "Forgive Me, Father." Forgive me, Father. Yes, that's right. You go check that out. Came out. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That is Shelley Thunder. In case you don't know, now you do. All right. Now let's bring back the crew. Now we do. Yep.
Come through, Shelley Thunder.
True.
Yes,
You're
yes,
real good
man.
when you do your music, B. When you
Huh?
do the music ones, you're real good on the music ones.
He is a DJ, Kamal.
Wow.
Wait. So y'all not,
I've never been to a party that he was DJing. He sucks.
Oh shit!
He sucks.
Wow!
Sucks.
Stop!
He sucks.
hey, trust me, you never been to a party. You saying I'm stuck because I rock that joint each and every time. You better ask somebody.
Clearly, I can tell that, and I ain't never been to a Ear Doctor party. I know a real DJ when I see one, shorty. I know
He's the
Ear
one that
DJ.
play
No, I'm
behind the
joking with
laptop,
him. I've seen him
looking
do
at the
It's
mic.
because Kamal keeps extending his "I'm not watching Jared's show" to other parts of the platform, and he keeps missing Sundays with the Ear Doctor, where he proves every week in little
He's got a
doses that he can
Do you
rock
even
a
like
party.
us, Kamal? Do you even like us?
Ear Doctor
Do you-
has a show. He has a show.
Wow, said does he got a show? And big up to everybody that came out this Sunday for Sunday Shutdown. It was dope lit. Thank y'all for coming out. Wow.
Brooklyn is a mess.
A mess,
Brooklyn is
dog.
a
A
mess.
mess. Woo.
Hey, did you all know? Speaking of parties, did you all know? I just saw this head that I didn't even know Airbnb had banned parties, and they're apparently relaxing the restriction on parties since they lost 44% in revenue last year.
Damn. Damn.
Like, why do you think I'm renting somebody else's house for?
Sounds like a good deal for
It's
the
all
party
about-
hosters, right? Like,
I'm in
oh,
somebody else's
yeah.
house. I don't want to do all that in my house.
about to tear up these people's house for $250 a night. Let's do it.
Exactly.
For real. All right, appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all next break.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Thank
thanks,
you.
ear
Thank
doctor.
you, ear doctor.
Oh wow. So since Kamal doesn't doesn't like us or watch any of our platforms,
No.
do you have something from the New York Times, perhaps, or maybe NPR that you would like to bring up as a story this morning?
Yo.
One of your favorite sources.
Ooh, shit. What was Noam
All
Chomsky tweeting about,
news
Kamal?
that's fit to print. Haters. Get 'em,
Haters.
Ricky. Get 'em. I'm on Ricky's side.
Oh
I do
wow.
have one story here, not from New York
Mhm.
Times, but from another reputable source, right? The Reuters.
Reuters.
So, amongst the Supreme Court's continued bad decisions,
Oh,
or
man.
decisions that roll back folks' rights, that will make basically land more people either in prison or not allow them to enforce their rights or cause more death and destruction throughout the land, anything for a right-wing agenda. So U.S. Supreme Court, I think this has probably been underreported because of the large importance of the abortion ban. But Miranda decision, it says it guts 150-year-old civil rights law. And so, it's not it's the I think the headline is a little exploitive in terms of what happened, but still very important in terms of people's ability to get some justice in terms of Miranda. So very quickly, a U.S. Supreme Court decision on Thursday illustrated the extent to which the court has transformed a Reconstruction era law meant to protect the rights of freed slaves or enslaved people, as we should say, and so-called marginalized Americans into a formidable shield for the most powerful, including police, prosecutors, and businesses. So as folks know, about Miranda, real quickly, Miranda is something that we see from our favorite TV shows that the police read to you when they, at least in the TV shows, they inaccurately show it after they arrest you. But Miranda rights are meant to be read to you right before the police question you, so that you know what your rights are and can make an informed decision about whether or not you're going to speak to the police or not. And if they question you or let's say brutalize you or attack you or hurt you and extract confession out of you, then obviously you're supposed to be able to say as part of your defense is that your Miranda rights were never read to you. And so therefore all of the evidence gathered or any fake evidence given needs to be thrown out. So that part is still there. But what is not there anymore is that the court has decided that you cannot sue the police based on their violation of your Miranda rights. And so now there is no way for folks to get any justice, let's say, after this or after any justice, let's say, financially or otherwise, after you are potentially abused by the police. And then further, it's also been said that the abuse of the Miranda rights, and this is probably the most important part, is not necessarily a constitutional protection.
What?
Which means, so they're saying that Miranda is not, again, the way in which this court is operating, that if it's not explicitly stated in the Constitution that the old white men, rich white men who made the Constitution, if it's not explicitly something that they thought about at that time,
Oh my God.
then somehow it does not apply. So that these things are sort of support of constitutional protections, but not in the Constitution themselves. And so therefore, on certain appeals, you may not be able to bring these issues up in terms of their violation. So there's a lot going on in terms of how the Supreme Court is, as we all know, right, is moving and acting. And one of the things that I think comes up around this is, so not only is this an issue around rights being taken away, but also rights not being enforced. So you're going to basically have a state, we've all named it before, a kind of police state, where the police will go unchecked in terms of their harassment, abuse of people, and where so-called states' rights dominate, which means basically you live in a country where, depending on where you're at, the law will be applied differently towards you.
Kamal, how, in your opinion, does this tie into the court's other opinion, the other terrible opinion that they issued this term, regarding defendants' rights to appeal their convictions in state court, or I guess to appeal their state convictions in appeals court? Whereas if evidence wasn't presented at your initial trial in the state trial, if your lawyer was somehow inept or incompetent and didn't present all the evidence available, when you go to appeal, the appeals court is like, we don't, tough shit. You're bad. Your attorney was terrible. That's on you. Even if you're innocent, even if there is a preponderance of evidence supporting your innocence, you will remain in jail. Even if you are punished with the death penalty, you will still remain in jail, even if there is evidence available to exonerate you. How does this tie into that in some way, that if you were not properly Mirandized and you somehow ended up convicted, when you go to appeal, you can't even bring that up, that the police didn't Mirandize you?
This is all about strengthening the power of the police and the courts, and limiting, again, everybody's everyday, what rights we thought we had, like the minimum that they are, and or the rights to sort of fight back against a powerful police state, a police state that has so much resources at its disposal to try you, to imprison you. I think this is all about limiting your ability to fight back. And again, like you said, it's like, they don't even care if you're innocent, right? These are procedures that protect the not only the police, but the prosecutors, the court system, the judges themselves, from having to deal with their quote unquote mistakes, right? Which aren't mistakes at all, but for them, a ratcheting up of a prison system, which suggests to you that we're always right, no matter what. And even, even with the protections we previously had, right, before this court has done what it's continually doing, even that, in terms of how long it takes for someone to file an appeal, to have an appeal heard, as we all know, like from the status of when these cases are overturned, we're talking decades a lot of time. It's decades before these appeals are heard. So it's not even that before there was so much justice that, like, 3 months, 4 months after a trial, you could expect some sort of appeal based on evidence that says that something went wrong, constitutionally speaking. It's normally taking decades, and even that they feel is too much because it's tying up the court system, which they would consider unnecessary appeals. So now they're making sure that you don't even have those, right? You don't even have those rights. So I think this is obviously a political framework in which they're doing this, which again is to give the state far more power and give regular citizens far less power in terms of fighting back against what could be in no other way but considered sort of an injustice or a verdict that was improperly given, or even, again, with this other cases pointing back to confessions, which may have been beaten out of people. Imagine, and we go back to the Central Park Five, right? Part of the reason why they were able, again, some of them years later, obviously, some of it was the new evidence that they actually found the semen of the actual rapist, right, or the actual person who did the brutalization. But there was the fact that the confessions themselves, or they confessed to something that they were beaten up by the police, right? That stuff took so long to even get on the public record, to have people believe it or understand what was happening to these young kids, as opposed to the stereotype that was given to them. That so this is what we're having. So we're having just a grab for power. An already powerful institution is just getting more power, and folks are losing whatever small rights they think they have.
So I thought I had a question, a practical question for Kamal, the lawyer, the expert legal mind that we have at our disposal. But I think, Kim, you have already beaten me to the punch with what I think is kind of like, what should our response be? And so I'm pulling this up now. Kim, if you want to say anything or set this up, but
listen, but as a rule, don't listen to white people, but these white men got some great advice. Okay, the white men here have some sage advice I would suggest everybody follow.
Mark and Craig, Hot Brothers at Law. We've been warning people, if you are working for an unlicensed dispensary, an illegal dispensary, and it gets raided, you need to shut the fuck up. If you shut the fuck up, you have a good chance that we can make the case go away. Case in point, 3 employees of an illegal shop were busted during a raid. 2 of them said, "Oh, I'm just volunteering here." The third guy shut the fuck up. And the DA did not prosecute the guy who shut the fuck up. They can't prove what you were doing there. If you're a customer, a patient, walked in to go to the bathroom, they don't know. You got to shut the fuck up, and it's Shut the Fuck Up Friday. So review the script. What do you say when the cop first pulls you over?
Why'd you pull me over?
And when he keeps asking questions?
Not discussing my day.
And they ask more questions?
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
And if detained, what do you say?
I invoke the 5th.
And then what do? You
shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up Friday. Never answer questions when the cops ask.
Have safe holidays.
Tip of the day.
That's the tip of the day every day, y'all. Shut the fuck up.
That is
Don't
the best.
engage with the police. Tell them, Kamal.
No, that is the best legal commercial or attorney commercial I've ever seen in my life. And
that's why my
faithful.
favorite. My bad.
Go ahead.
My favorite show is Better Call Saul, and I'm like, that's exactly the kind of lawyer I'm looking for. If I get in a jam, that guy, the one with the cigar.
No, that is. There's no better advice than that. I mean, I always hate when I used to practice, and then you have these other defenses. Even we had semi-political cases or whatever. You know, we would have people pack the courtroom, and these other attorneys that you're working with go like, you know, can you make sure these other folks are quiet? Or it's like, why? Why should they be quiet? Like people need to understand that someone's watching this court system. So they need to make some noise in here, make some noise outside, show that and obviously everybody can't have that, like when they're going to court. But it's one of those things where unless you shine a light, you have very little hope potentially. But if you can shine a light on it, then you got some more hope. And if you don't talk and incriminate yourself because you don't necessarily know what's going on. Anything you say to a judge or to a prosecutor, you can always say after you speak to your lawyer and figure out for the both of you what your best defense is. There's nothing that you do ahead of time that's going to walk you out the situation or talk yourself out the situation, or if they're friends with you and you're friends with them, you know, it's going to help you, particularly in a situation where you're talking about getting raided or stopped in the street or having a home invasion. You're not talking yourself out of an arrest, right? Your best case, you may talk yourself out of a ticket, right? But you're not talking yourself out of an actual arrest. So you can play that over and over again. We might give them some free advertisement, but they might. You shut the fuck up and wait for your lawyer.
Right on. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, good advice. It's today's Wednesday, but it's always Shut the Fuck Up Friday here at the Remix Morning Show.
Every single day. Hey, remixers, thank you all so much for watching. Do us a favor and give the video a thumbs up, a like. If you've not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Where are we at here, gentlemen? We're just shy of 18,000 subscribers. Am I looking at that correct?
Yep. Just we should be fast approaching 18,000. And again, as we like to remind folks, if you can't support via membership or Patreon financially, we get it. But a simple subscription, like, share helps greatly. Comments, even the critical negative comments, which I think deserve their own show here coming up shortly.
Oh, that should be a good show, actually. We should just read all the negative comments. I think that would be excellent.
Some of the good ones too, but the negative ones, some of them are pretty delicious. But yeah, it helps. And then you can also grab yourself one of these fly, drip. I told you, I
cleaned them out.
Cleaned them out. That's all I wear. And in fact, I have this is my fancy upscale black because I'm going to be giving an on-camera interview later this morning about Black Studies and Dr. John Henrik Clarke. So I wanted to wear my designer best.
You dress blacks.
My dress black t-shirt.
Your dress up black t-shirt. Right. We need to have one with a tuxedo decal on
we
the
do.
top.
We gotta have we need to get our button down BPM with the little, instead of like the polo dude, it's a BPM. You know, it's like a something like that. You know, we gotta have a whole line of And then for the swimsuit edition, we have to have the BPM Speedos, right?
Yes.
Right.
Come out.
So
yellow for you.
You know, Kim, sometimes I be thinking we're on the same side. And then you just, you know what I'm saying?
And then she just,
you know what I'm saying? They're just like, ooh.
Listen. It's mandatory that I have heat for people lighter than I. Like, I have to clown you, dog. Like, them's the rules. Come out, the rules. I don't make the rules. Come out. I don't make them.
I think on a good day,
anti-blackness rolls downhill. That's what
right.
it is.
That's correct.
So,
that is
but look,
correct.
We hit 275 this morning. Speaking of shout out to the remixers, so we did earn a special mix, but I think we're going to get it early today because, as we said yesterday, Ear Doctor is for the kids. So cool. I think is that what I'm seeing?
That is
what BPM's behind him.
We'll take it, but we need you guys to do your unpatriotic duty and make sure you spread the word about the channel. I want us to get to 18,000 subscribers by July 4th weekend. Okay. So show how anti-American you are and subscribe to Black Power Media and spread the word. Spread the word, please. Thank you.
I like that.
All right. Well, let me give y'all mix. I know we hit it yesterday and we hit it today. Keep up the good work, y'all. And let's get it right here on the Remix Morning Show.
Stabbing cabin for this, stabbing cabin, and stabbing cabin for this, stabbing cabin. Stabbing cabin for this, stabbing cabin. Mister, tell me, Mister, not tell us what is the meaning.
What is the meaning of cabin stabbing? Say when you have a girl in your house just loving, come down June and they must be rough neck chicken.
Yes, the meaning of cabin stabbing is when you book a night international venue and you come and fuck it up and arrest it.
Original Kimbo King, Kimbo Queen and a King. Original Kimbo King, Kimbo Queen and a King. Them are some damn lazy thing. No have to do nothing. No for my money making. And for them Kimbo one.
I'm in love with a man nearly twice my age. Don't know what it is, but it's a hit from my youthful days. As I go my way, I don't care what people say. I'm in love with a man nearly twice my age. Action. So we action. So we you think you are so fine.
Chat no work, yeah, man, watch the time.
Not stop playing with my mind.
Oh, man, no, in a joke when she will want the wine.
Now tell me who said them want ackle me body, them have to have a permit and a license. Now tell me who said them want ackle me body, them have to have a permit and a license. For me admit it. Say me moan and groan, admit it. When them a fling on the stone, me admit it. Me have the heart to go in, me have to holla in a bed, and you know me have to scream it.
Decided colors, these are full of teeth. And if you don't like it, the whole night in your face for 45 feet, you see? Dog on do it. Follow me now, follow me now, follow me now. Some man away, them want to ram it up. I miss a cat away, them want to ram it up. And all the dog style and them a touch it up. From over stereo man, sound away, them pick it up. When more up and they must a tear it up. I miss a cat in all the crowd and them a rip it up. So dan dada, play all DJ, miss a cat a dan dada. Go tell it to your sister, your brother and mother. The boy no got this soap cat and mother.
Call me. You want to get your kick? Call me. You want the G6? Call me. Me have the remix? Call me. From the other day, like I play some boy I play. Me hear the girls calling, me hear the girls bawling, me hear the girls crying out. It's a big
Now let's get back to the Remix Morning Show. You know how we do.
I miss it being there.
Yeah.
Yo.
All right, come out.
You're a DJ. You're a real DJ, son. You're a real DJ.
Yes. That's not even in dispute.
You're still sus, but you're a real DJ. My daughter just looked at me when I said it too. She just looked up. She said, "Oh God, is he actually saying that?"
Bless
The
you.
ladies never say that.
Bless
you.
A lot of memories associated with those rhythms.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, oh man, I got groped in the reggae room and the Ritz to a lot of these songs. So, like, Jesus.
That's what I miss about a lot of our music. We don't dance no more. We don't be dancing like that.
Not the groping,
I'm about
not
to
the
say,
unwanted groping. The
They're Dr.
dancing.
Mrs. Groping girls in the reggae room.
And the dance hall, and yo, when I moved down to Florida and I heard about bass music, all girls did was just shake their thing. You just get behind them and be like,
well, that was all I could do because the level of dancing that would often accompany those rhythms was something I couldn't. I mean, you know, the winding and all. I mean, it's a lot of, it was a lot of thigh muscles and core muscles that I had not developed. You know, I was like, I'm gonna have to just. That's how I developed the two-step. You know what I'm saying?
Hilarious.
Adjust the two-step.
Back in them days, men didn't have to dance. All y'all had to do was hold on to hips and gluteus maximus and just go along for the ride.
But in the late 80s, we was sweating dancing.
Hell yeah.
We would get out there. This was back in Kid and Play days and all that. We was dancing back then. But
well,
Slim, so many nights
I was
telling the young people about this. I was telling the young people about this. Slim, we would go to the clubs, done, hair done, outfit done, and come out there looking like we had got sprayed with a water hose. You know what I'm saying? Hair fall, makeup running all down your face. But that was standard. Like if you didn't go to the jam to party, I don't know what did you even go to the club for? And I feel like these younger folks now, they just, you know, you know what I'm saying? Can you imagine? I can't even imagine Bamas with like Kodak cameras in the club in 95. Like who's doing that?
The
Nobody.
closest we would get is the Polaroids. You know, you might get a Polaroid somewhere, be like waving it. Come out all washed.
Oh, you went to the thing to party, man. You went to the thing to party. Not, I mean, I guess to be seen was an ancillary part of it, but primarily to party.
No doubt.
I don't know what they do now. They don't dance no more. All they do is this.
Exactly.
All they do is this.
Well, listen, I appreciate y'all. I will catch y'all tomorrow. I gotta go to my job, like Jackie would say, and I'll holler at y'all tomorrow. Have a good one.
But we still owed one more mix, though.
Whoa, we'll get it tomorrow.
No,
well, what if we hit 275 tomorrow?
Right. You're a mix behind.
I'll do 2 mixes tomorrow. How about that?
Okay.
Damn. All right. Peace.
See ya.
All right, everybody. Production value of the show is going to drop just one more notch. Now the Ear Doctor has left, so just heads up. Anybody got something they want to get to? There are a couple that I have left over. Anybody got something that either of you want to bring up before we move on, or
no, you move on your story, son.
A tiny bit. Hold on. Well, anyway.
Sure. No, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
But it ain't really nothing. It's just tea. It's just mess from the January 6th hearings yesterday. I don't have an article to support it, but I haven't.
No, that's perfect, because I had one of the stories I have, Kim, and I'll just pull this up and you can do your thing. Is related to that. So by all means.
I mean, y'all know who keeping it gangster. What is up with your man, Donald Trump? Donald Trump is wilder than a motherfucker. Trump is wilder than I thought he was. And I already thought he was wild as shit, though. But apparently, according to the testimony from an aide of Mark Meadows, what's her name, Jared? Mackenzie? Michaela?
Wait, Cassidy Hutchinson?
Cassidy. There we go.
Yeah,
Cassidy.
that's who this is.
I knew it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Cassidy. Yep. So Cassidy got up there and testified yesterday. She is an aide, or was an aide, to Mark Meadows, who was Trump's chief of staff, also former congressman. Where was Meadows congressman at? North Carolina? Do I have that right? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I know y'all will.
I'll have to look at this.
That's fine. But I mean, these are just basic details, just for filling in background purposes. So anyway, she testified yesterday in front of the January 6th committee, and she testified to the events that happened before January 6th, on the 5th, and the day of January 6th. And one of the things that she mentioned that stood out is that the whole time Trump was trying to get to the Capitol after he delivered that bombastic speech at the Ellipse. Trump was trying to get the Secret Service to run him up to the Capitol. I suppose he wanted to lead his troops into battle. That was what I was taking away from it. But the CIA, not the CIA, but the Secret Service basically denied him. They said, nope, that's not going to happen today, Chief. And the reasons that she said that the Secret Service gave is because there were members of the Trump army, so to speak, who were armed. And you hear the radio calls from Metropolitan Police and U.S. Capitol Police about they visibly saw people with AR-15s in the crowd. By the way, AR-15s, very illegal in DC, extremely illegal in DC. So it's amazing to me how the cops is on the radio talk about, yeah, we see these youngins with AR-15s. Why don't you go arrest them? Why don't you go confiscate those weapons that are visibly illegal? And absolutely everybody knows that you cannot have those kinds of guns on the streets of DC, not even handguns, because DC has some of the strictest gun laws in the country. But, you know, white people get to
unarmed black people only, Kim. That's the rule.
That's correct.
If you have a gun and they're not messing with you.
The funny thing is, though, according to this to Cassidy's testimony yesterday, is that Trump wasn't tripping. Trump was like, "Listen, I see they got arms. I see they are loaded, you know, strapped to the teeth, but they're not here to hurt me."
That sounds like a you problem.
That sounds like a y'all problem. They're not here to hurt me. He was trying to get the CIA. I keep saying the CIA, the Secret Service, to let him out of the vehicle and march with the people, and they were like, "No, Mr. President, that is dangerous." So once it was told to Trump firmly that he was not being taken to the Capitol, that he was indeed, they were going to carry his ass right the fuck home back to the West Wing. Trump allegedly, according to Cassidy's testimony, physically put hands on his head of security and attempted to grab the steering wheel of the SUV in which he was riding. I'm assuming to ram it into a pole. I don't know what the fuck he was trying to grab the steering wheel from the back seat for, but reportedly what his head of security told him was, "Mr. President, please remove your arm from the steering wheel." So there have already been reports come out that have debunked Cassidy's testimony, saying that that wasn't true, that never happened. I can't see why this little conservative, I may call her little, but this conservative white woman would come out with this kind of a tale, knowing how rabid the Trump base is and how, you know, they don't have a problem threatening your life or the life of your family or anything like that. So I don't see why she would come out with this particular story. Her story rang of credibility to me, but apparently there are those who were present that day that already say that they are disputing her accounting. But sounds on brand to me, because Trump clearly an unhinged individual, and he won't hesitate to turn on those who he even deems his supporters. When they were chanting "Hang Mike Pence," Trump reportedly said, "Hey, if they got to hang Mike Pence, then I guess they got to hang Mike Pence." That sounds like a Mike Pence problem to me. So
not to be repetitive, but again, that sounds like a you problem. I don't hear my name in that sentence yet.
They love me. They're not trying to hang me.
But had Mike Pence not taken the position he'd taken, had Trump's head of security not denied Trump the opportunity to go to the Capitol, I mean, the coup was right there. I mean, it was gonna happen. I mean, it was absolutely going to happen were it not for a few people who had the temerity to say no. And I'm not praising these people. I'm not hoisting them on a pedestal, because this whole fucking thing can fall for all the fuck I care. And for it to fall at the hands of itself by other white supremacists, to me, would be so delicious and really a dream come true. But if you are concerned about this upholding the so-called democracy that we live in, that shit was about to be taken away very fast if Trump had his way, and if he had a fully participating cast of characters to go along with this. But the next time, he probably will.
And they're emboldened by a 6-3 margin in the Supreme Court. They're going to be emboldened by kind of the potential runaway wins in the midterm. So yeah, I mean, I it could be, once you get another Republican installed into office, particularly a crazy right winger, they may never leave, you know, because for them, what they'll constantly, now they'll just have legal ways, like the same folks like you said that said the few that said no, or maybe we don't see this, but what he'll like know better this time, him and or whoever comes in next, and so they'll make sure when they install an attorney general, it's somebody who's going to listen exactly to what it is that they want them to do, that the next time they install other folks in other high offices, they're going to do exactly what it is that they want them to do. So I mean, you know, whatever little democracy people think they have, which ain't much at all, this is all headed towards a certain trajectory, which again, Trump is not necessarily the strict reason, but he's certainly catapulted it further because of his crazy antics and the support that those antics have by literally tens of millions of people. Not even if you remember, the Democrats kept on predicting, oh, we get the moderate Joe Biden, folks will come over and vote, and he's going to lose by a landslide, just the way they thought he was going to lose to Hillary Clinton in the first place. But that election was really close. It was really close because these white folks are far more interested in retaining power and control and not losing what they think they are losing. Of course, I think they're psychopathic, but they think they're losing some kind of way of life. And they will do, unlike other folks, white folks will not be ruled by other people, or even a hint of it makes them go crazy. And they think they need to grab arms. They need to take control of this. They need to do other things. They have ideologues who press for power both in state apparatus and outside of state apparatus, and they will do what they want to do to retain power.
Yeah, there were 2 points you both. One, I wanted to ask: Do you all think it will in fact be a landslide victory in the midterms, or do you think the Roe v. Wade decision will actually get people to support more of the Democrats in coming up, as the Democratic Party clearly is hoping? And then the other question is that I don't disagree with the psychopathic conclusion or assessment, but on some level they are being asked, that is, white folks are being asked to give up something that is at minimum the psychological space or the symbolic space of having to tolerate more symbolic inclusion of other groups, which I think is causing them trauma. Just the idea that others might be, you know, or so-called others might be now, you know. So anyway, but the question about the Democrat, do either of you, do you still predict a landslide, or do you think the Roe decision will have any impact on that?
Individually, go ahead, Kim.
Well, I'm just saying, just look at what the Democrats are doing. First of all, they're using this Roe decision as a fundraising opportunity. Meanwhile, in Texas, both House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and House Minority Whip, what's James Clyburn's title? Third in command in the House, HNIC in the House, whatever.
He's third in command, yeah.
Okay.
Right. So both of them were down in South Texas stomping for Henry Cuellar, who is a pro-life Democrat, right? He supports abortion restrictions. He is not a pro-choice Democrat. And they opposed his progressive opponent, Jessica Cisneros, from what I understand, only narrowly lost that primary by only like 250 some votes. So the Democrats are phony. We can't believe you. Like, y'all obviously literally need more people. You need more pro-choice members of Congress. And here they are opposing a pro-choice Democratic candidate for Congress to support the pro-life candidate. So they're full of shit. I mean, you can't believe them. And I think a lot of women specifically, or, you know, pregnant people or people who are on the correct side of reproductive justice are very disenfranchised or disaffected by the Democratic Party. And they're sort of talking out of both sides of their necks when it comes to this issue. So I think that the GOP is probably going to run the table. Because I think that the Democrats have pushed that, no, this is the most important election. They've run that line way too many times. And now it's like the boy that cried wolf. Okay, well, I thought 2016 was the most important election, or now 2020, now 2022. It's like y'all keep saying this, and you saying that Roe is on the ballot, but y'all been saying that for literal decades. And what the fuck did you do when you had control of, you know, all the branches of government? You didn't do anything. You just kept using it as a fundraising opportunity and as a scare tactic, really, to drive Democratic voters to the polls. So I think people who would vote Democrat just don't have any confidence in this party to execute power even if they are able to retain it. So I think it's going to be a bloodbath on the GOP side.
Come out real quick. I just think it's perfectly hilariously symbolic that you, in the way you all just said that Clyburn as the HNIC is still third in charge.
That's as high as you get to rise.
That's it.
Because Nancy is gripping onto those power controls for dear life. She is not letting that go until, again. I mean, I similarly, and I think the economy matters, right? I think the way the gas prices, the inflation, I think all that matters in terms of whether or not the Democrats would be able to use the issue of abortion as a wedge issue to pull back over what they would want more suburban white moms and all that kind of stuff, which is always their catchment area, right? They're always applying and trying to get those folks to come back to the party or to swing back to the party. So I think that plays a huge role. And if gas prices are still at $4.50 and even higher in some places, I expect it also to be a bloodbath, right? I think I think the votes that the Democrats have when it comes to being pro-reproductive rights, they've already got. They're not necessarily going to gain anything more. I think they already had those votes anyway. And I think the people who would be considered quote unquote swing voters, just from that mainstream view of things, those people who will already be considered sort of swing voters that they are hoping to get in their corner, those folks are going to be impacted by where the economy is on whether or not they're going to back them up at this particular stage. And I don't see the economy changing drastically over the next several months for the midterms that would usher in a change or a sweeping tide. And you got to just look at too Biden's numbers, right? What are Biden's presidential numbers right now? They're still garbage, right? They haven't I haven't seen any poll at least that has shown me that after Roe v. Wade, his numbers have improved dramatically in terms of people being like, oh wow, now we need Biden to come to the rescue. Instead, I think is exactly what Kim has said. It's like people think the Democrats are fickle. They'll say anything and do nothing. And so therefore, why should I vote for them? And I'm not completely mad at it, right? Because hopefully that means people will use other strategies to fight for power and not center electoral politics. Or that means that maybe out of that some real left alternative can be formed to be a companion to other fights to power. Don't know that either, but in the short term, it looks like to me Republicans are going to gain more electoral power over this whole redistricting and all that stuff that's been happening. All of this, even as the demographics are changing, are ways in which they are keeping power and shifting power for themselves.
Isn't it funny though that Biden can't even get a war bump? You know how not just Democrat, but presidents in the past have engaged in military interventions, whatever. Well, started wars, started bombing the shit out of countries in order to get a domestic approval boost. And that's not happening. That is not happening as Biden continues to send billions and billions more to Ukraine. And people are...
You got to be more directly involved, Kim. This indirect funding of Ukraine isn't enough, apparently. You got
to start an actual war with Russia.
Yeah.
Oh, we need troops on the ground. That's coming. That's coming, though. I know somebody who is about to be deployed to Poland who's in the Navy. And I said, oh, Poland, eh? Oh, you're going to Poland.
Oh, God. I just got... I straight up, man. I know I only did 4 years and it's been 30 years, but I am fucking traumatized. When you just said that, I got a damn... chill went down my spine. Somebody getting deployed somewhere. It's like, damn, that just brings up so many. By the way, but Kamal, when you talk about where the economy's going, let me just show you all this real quick. I was watching something because I can't actually write what I'm supposed to write, so I'm just I just keep taking in information and doing nothing with it. So I'll just share it here. I was watching this economic analysis. You were talking about the prediction of where the economy is going. the guy Michael Burry, who was made famous in the film The Big Short, is predicting we're on a bigger bubble than we were in 2008, or this country was in 2008, but we all are going to pay for it. And it's going to, and we're headed for a huge collapse. And and this guy, Gammon is the economist I was looking at. He was going through Michael Burry's latest predictions on all of this. And they showed this graph, which is the psychology of a bubble graph that they use. And he was arguing we're in if you look here in the red, I don't know if I'm showing it on here, but he said we're in the drop around here, around fear and capitulation. But the idea is that people get all excited as stocks in the economy starts to take off. The media get involved and start promoting something. People get all enthusiastic. Then people get greedy. Then a delusion kicks in. And then they say we're in a new paradigm. Once the delusion is, we're in a new world. Everything's great. Going to keep going up. Then it starts to drop. There's denial. There's a little bit of a return bump. And then it's a free fall that's where we're headed, predicted to be headed, even as, people, try to prop up or slow it or get out before they lose all their money. And he matched the psychology of a bubble with, for instance, the recent cryptocurrency drop and the overall stock market drop, you could probably say as well, but the cryptocurrency drop, and just showing that you could just see how the psychology of the bubble matches pretty much exactly where cryptocurrency is, and anyway, so we're headed for something worse, is the prediction. So not only will things not change or get better, but it's going to get worse here again pretty soon.
Well, I'm already seeing on regular news, local media. I saw a story this week about adjustable rate mortgages and how they're making a comeback, Jared. But these aren't the adjustable rate mortgages of the 2008 financial collapse. No. They have put some safeguards in place to make sure these are not the same adjustable rate mortgages. And I said, oh boy, here we go.
Because Burry's saying the same thing. The mortgage-backed securities are coming back. Like all of that stuff is still at play. And as we were just talking about the other day, with cryptocurrency being involved now and connected to all of this, the total possible collapse is even bigger, because everything is connected and people have invested in crypto. And when that crashes, it's going to drag money out of other areas, and including the mortgage-backed security. The details I don't pretend to understand, but all of those same indicators, like you said, the adjustable rate mortgages, mortgage-backed securities having a bigger, they're growing, all that stuff and all that derivative stuff, all those things are happening once again. And Burry is saying, basically, he tweeted more or less recently saying something like, from his perspective, it's like watching a plane crash. It's painful, but there's nothing I can do about it other than just watch it happen. So. Yeah,
and I just.
Go ahead, Kamal. Go ahead.
Oh, just really quickly, I was going to say, and I don't want to. I can't predict if this is going to be individual. Like, I'm not an economist, obviously, but a major depression era recession, whether or not there's going to be a relatively soft landing. What is not what do you call it when we were in a downside, but a regular downside?
Recession.
A recession, exactly. Not whether that's going to be a soft landing recession. Because there's still things around job growth that point that the economy has some stability to it. And it could be just one wave of something that happens, like whether or not it's more sort of falling of the market, or whether or not, again, the housing market, the bottom drops out. Obviously, the Feds have taken some role now in increasing interest rates in order to slow down some fast burning parts of the economy. So yeah, I can't predict that part of it, but I do know that even in this, the type of economy we're in, if this continues, which going back to the, I guess the other point around what's going to happen in the midterms, this is enough of a bad part of the economy and people being worried, and the Democrats not showing any wherewithal whatsoever in terms of making the economy better. I think is going to be enough to sink their boat. Particularly, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the predictions in the Senate, which obviously is almost dead even, But again, I know it's of their own making, right? It's of their own doing, their own choosing of who they choose as their top candidates, who they deal with, who they don't call out, who they fight for. Again, Nina Turner is another example. Not necessarily, her foreign policy politics leave a lot to be desired, right? But she's very liberal and or progressive on some domestic policy issues. At one point, had the lead, looked like she was going to be the lead person in terms of winning, and the establishment Democrats stepped in and did the same thing. They stepped in, they picked a candidate that they thought was far more friendly to Biden, or far more moderate, and they came in and they took that race from her in order to put in somebody who they liked, right? So they'll deal with a Joe Manchin, that's cool for them. They're working to negotiate with that person all day long, but somebody who potentially could be a little left of them is somebody who they call out the HNIC to come roll against that person, to be like, hey, we don't want her. Who
was the pro-choice? I mean, the anti-choice candidate that you?
I forgot her name, but it was a black woman who just was a
Chantel
more
Brown
moderate
in Cleveland. It was Chantel. Right. Chantel Brown was Nina Turner's opponent, but in Texas it was Henry Cuellar, who was the pro-life Democrat that Nancy and Jimmy showed up to throw their support behind. I don't understand economics. Shocker. But I don't get how in trying economic times, and especially with inflation skyrocketing, how raising interest rates is the antidote to that. If you're making people pay more interest on everyday shit, credit cards, student loans, whatever the fuck, how does raising those interest rates combat inflation? And don't explain it to me, even if you understand it, because this shit is all scam. It's all funny money. I'm just saying, it's so weird to hear the economic experts be like, oh, it just makes sense to raise the interest rates. I'm like, I'm a common senseologist, nigga. That shit don't equate. Like that don't make sense to me.
The way I start is that when you hear popular media journalism about the economy, the first thing most of us have to remember is they're not talking about us, and they're not talking to us. So when they're talking about, and I don't know all the details, but when they're talking about interest rates, they're not talking about what you and I pay on a credit card. They're talking about what major lenders to other institutions charge for the money they lend, which slows down the rate or increases the rate of money in the economy as it flows downward. So that's generally, so when they talk about the economy is doing well or doing poorly, they're not talking about how we are doing. They're talking about how those who own that 1% that own 90% of the stock, or whatever the hell it is, the 10% that own 90% of the stock, how they're doing. And then we have to figure out how it impacts us by picking up analysis in between the gaps separately. Because when they're saying the stock when it goes up, working people don't benefit in any real way. So they're not talking but that's as far as I can get with the interest rate thing, and I'm happy to be checked on that. We got to tune into Jackie's discussions with Dr. Tauheed more often. That's step one.
Facts. Ginormous facts. Yes, I need an African-based explanation, because I'm sorry, because you're right. Because the crackers on TV is talk about themselves.
Yeah, they're not talking. Yeah. So, to quote or reference at least Kamal's favorite white guy, I always, that Chomsky point about, when there used to be actual newspapers, and he would tell people, as an example, turn to the labor section of the newspaper, and people be like, huh?
Where is that?
And he'd be like, no, there's a business section, and they're not talking to you, fool. I'll editorialize there a little bit, but that's not a direct quote from Chomsky. A couple of things before we get out of here, just real quick, if we can, just a couple of quick stories. I don't know too much of the details, but I saw this was, that Bozeman's wife and family have split his fortune.
I saw that. I was happy to see that story.
Right, that it was. I was like, I was waiting to read. So we're going to get some sensationalized degeneration into some, a Jerry Springer show type thing or whatever. So that was good to see. Like, let's not make it worse than it is, and just, And then honestly, I was thinking $2 to $3 million fortune is, I don't, it's relatively is not a fortune.
That's all he had.
That's what I was like. I was like, that's it.
Yeah. Goes to show you the racial pay gap in Hollywood persists. It persists. Chadwick Boseman. I mean, my God, if he, I say only as if I will ever see $2 million. But
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Relatively.
He only had $2 million. God damn, what did he get paid for Black Panther? Like chump change, minimum wage? What the fuck?
Yeah, usually it's like $10, $15 million these days for like some starring role. They get bank.
I felt like the residuals alone should have been 2 to 3 million, per every few months. Yes. Much less. That's all. But
that's how they do us, though. Look at him attached to the biggest, most profitable franchise, and upon his death, again, I hate to say only, Jesus, but $2 million. But shout out to his wife. Class act to split his estate evenly with his parents as his beneficiary, because apparently Chadwick did not have a will in place. By the way, Black folks, please make sure your affairs are in order. I don't care how young you think you are.
But he knew he was sick too, I thought, right? I mean, that was wasn't that part of the, didn't he know he was sick? I was
getting married?
No, I thought he understood. I thought his death wasn't as much of a surprise to him. In other words, I thought he had time.
Yeah. He probably did have time. For whatever reason he didn't, but he probably did in terms of like what you just said. Yeah.
But the problem is we all think we got time, y'all, until the Grim Reaper
I mean, he knew but he knew his cancer.
He knew
at some point
his death was imminent.
Yeah.
Correct. But I mean, but I think that speaks to sort of perhaps it might be a psychological block that Black folks, and I'm talking about us specifically here, that we have. I know a lot of people who die without wills, without life insurance, who have children, who have responsibilities and even assets, and people just die out here all willy-nilly with no direction about what they want to be done in terms of their final wishes. So I'm just saying, generally, can we look at Chadwick's example, because everybody is not going to handle it classy like his wife. A lot of people get messy when it comes to money, way less money than $2 million, might I add. So just, as our public service announcement here for the channel, if you have children especially, please put your shit in a will, get it certified at the fucking courthouse. Like, don't play games with the futures of your descendants here. You know what I mean? Anyway, I just wanted to say that. So
and just seeing the other side of the transition with parents, like it's good to help make sure that they got their stuff in order too before the dementia stuff kicks in. That's helpful as well. And all three of my pennies are going to be well divided up and put where they're supposed to go. And I have literally put in there that my books are not only to be kept, but they must be read by my children. So that's like they have to, like, that's I put it. You can't just have them
out the pennies. It's like they have to do a book report, and then they get a little bit. They get a little bit of their trust. They get 5.
Well, I mean, right? They get 5 cents for this book, 5 cents for that. It ain't, because it ain't that much. So it's a lot of books and not a lot of money. So it's,
the real knowledge and value is in the books, though.
But this is another issue. And I read an article about this years ago, and I have not followed up on it. What do we do? How do we assure the digital collections get passed down? Which is apparently not as, at least was when I read that article. I don't know where we are today, and I need to look into this. Like, how, like all of these, ebooks and music collections that are require digital access. How do you make sure that you can pass those on? Like your Apple ID password gets passed on or whatever. I don't know how that all, but like,
I think they have a legacy option on your iCloud account. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong about that, chat. But I think a lot of these places are understanding that they're creating legacy designations for your digital thing. I know Facebook has that. I know a few other social media places have it where if you anticipate dying, which everybody should, by the way, that you can designate somebody to, I guess, take over your account or something along those lines. But
Okay.
y'all,
I need to look into that.
all y'all big freakadeeks, all y'all big amateur porn stars, your grandkids are gonna be like, God damn, what was Granny out here doing in 2022? Yes, just be mindful of.
So right, I have to add that line. Shut down the OnlyFans
Shut
account.
down. Clean Google search engine right before.
All y'all amateur adult video stars. Oh boy, your grandkids is going to be amazed at what you was able to do in your youth. Woo.
Oh man, because I have done Google searches for relatives, like just like who might I, so you somebody else might have a very interesting search result. Yeah, and then I definitely have again, as I've mentioned here before, my do not invite to the funeral list, like not permitted, not allowed in list. Like you cannot stop all of
Petty
that.
to the grave, Jared
And
Paul. Yes.
So speaking of petty to the grave,
I love that.
This 101-year-old ex-Nazi guard got sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Yes. Tata, Adolf. Enjoy your time, France and Fritz.
Why are they covering his face so much?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, don't you want to shame them per se if you're going to give them time? Why are you giving them that kind of dignity of covering their face? Like, they were Nazi guards.
They were like, we're not waiting for you to die. They were like, nah. I just thought that was kind of
What's
funny.
his name,
Anyway.
Jared? So I can call Hans out properly.
That's a good question. I didn't even I didn't even look past. I'll have to do some clicking.
Jesus. Look at Jesus. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Listen, if you think that your enemies and those who have harmed you in your past will not see a revenge or see some vengeance, no, baby, keep the faith. Keep the faith. God is going to do it. He's going to work it out. He is going
to. They said
he's like 100 years old.
I know. He's only identified as Joseph S. Sorry. Oh, yeah.
What's
my
his
bad.
name?
Go ahead.
What's his name, Jared?
Joseph S. They said he's only identified as Joseph S. They don't even give his full name. And he was an SS guard at Sachsenhausen concentration camp north of Berlin from 1942 to 45. And they put roughly 3,600 deaths specifically on him.
Jesus. How the fuck they just catching up with him now at 101?
And how do they calculate those numbers that a guard in and of itself is responsible for that many?
Well, the only thing that would be is that I know that they were meticulous in terms of record keeping. So you could maybe do the math on how many people passed through the gates while he was there and calculate it that way. I don't know. But 3,518 counts of murder.
And if it's that much, then they should be showing his face at the very least. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, like all of these, they don't even give his full name. They don't show his face. And but
I want to see his face now. I want to see what he looked like when he was young. You know what I'm saying? Run us everything. I want to know all the information about this person because obviously
he's probably lived a good life up until 101.
Hey,
he's got he escaped that. He got, and everybody, remember after the Nazis were defeated, right, by the Russians, not the Americans, not the West, but a lot of those the scientists, the folks in power got out, were whisked away by America to work on different programs here in America, settled in Argentina and other places.
Aprende español.
So these same people who are so evil, when they serve the purpose, they got whisked out. So
to seed Nazism in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah,
and it has been
all of that. They were all up in what was the CIA project to kill all of the revolutionaries in Latin America? The Nazis, those ex-Nazis were involved with that too. Condor, was it? Operation Condor? One of them joints. Anyway, listen, good people.
Adolf Hitler admitted he got a lot of his theories from America.
Yes.
On race, and when he talks about the idea of Nazism and the master race and the use of land and property, he directly got that from writings of Americans on the taking of land and property and the genocide of the indigenous population. That directly was a direct connection in terms of how he thought where his ideas came from the world. So,
hey, United States of America spreading and teaching Nazis to Nazis for hundreds of years.
Right. Nurturing Nazis before
nurturing Nazis. There you go. Nurturing Nazis for hundreds of years.
Oh,
so listen, we've hey, congratulations. We made it through Hump Day here Wednesday. Remix Morning Show, Black Power Media. Big shout out to Ear Doctor, to of course our colleagues and the young comrades on the screen, to the remixers in the audience, our vacationing sisters May and Erica.
Yes.
Rest up.
Rest up. Rest up.
Rest
Are
up.
y'all on tomorrow, or y'all got better shit to do tomorrow? I mean,
I'm just permanently here until others, everybody comes back, huh?
Tomorrow's Thursday, ain't we on?
Yeah, of course we're on.
I'm never sure who's
going to be on.
I will be on with a guest star apparently. So, you know.
Hey,
if folks show up, I'll happily take the day off. If not, you know, we'll see how it goes. Ear Doctor will be back as well.
More water on this, it makes it more sticky.
Oh,
exactly.
You don't care about the program. You don't care about the
program. No, but that was neither do you. So, so like you're right.
It's
like perfect.
The lessons are being passed along. Yes.
Hey, keep it real, Franklins. Keep it together. So, but just real quick, I think Leaders of Beautiful Struggle in Search of Black Powers podcast drops at 12 o'clock today. So definitely check that. And then they're going to do a follow-up discussion with me on Friday about this Afro-pessimism nonsense. You know, the attack on it, at least this most recent one. And Kim, anything happening between now and tomorrow that we need to know about?
I had an off night last night. We'll burn it down with Kim Brown. Our show got cut abruptly short because excuse me, we had some internet issues, so I didn't even get my show off last night. So hopefully we will be able to redo that again. I don't think it'll be tonight, but maybe tomorrow. So I'll keep y'all posted tomorrow morning on the Remix
Just morning. Everybody keep all your bells selected on Burn It Down Kim Brown, Black Power Media. That way you don't miss anything. You don't have to worry. You relax. Just get
you guys.
So anyway,
thank you, remixers. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know we was beefing earlier, but we good now. I'm sorry. No. we was beefing earlier, but we good now.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Sticky hand.
All right. There it is. Till tomorrow. Peace, everybody. If you're willing to fight for it, like Fred said.